He's putting on that Tocando Chicos.
Choocharica.
Choocharica's.
It sounds like a nice country in Central America.
It does, right?
Man, I just got back from vacation in Choocharica, bro. That shit was delicious.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. We are live, episode 9.
Wait. Oh, you like
that? I know you like.
Oh, it was the red light district.
Yes.
That's fine and dandy.
So we want to welcome everybody back to another episode. Aquí.
Oh, wait a minute. Time out, guys. We just literally, I came up with the name of our podcast. So as you may have known, and Alfred, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the name that we had was more of an interim name, right? So we had gone with It's a Conversation. But that was during a brainstorming session that we had a few months ago, and Alfred and I were not coming up with anything, and we said that as part of somebody's sentence and somebody's statement, and my girlfriend caught up to that, and she said, hey, well, that sounds pretty cool. So we went with that. But not gonna lie, it just really never stuck. We didn't resonate, right? Didn't resonate with us. But I'm gonna text you right now, actually, Fred. I'm gonna text you right now. So,
all right, guys, you guys are gonna see it live. Once I get the text, my reaction will let us know if it's a good direction that we're gonna be headed into today's episode.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The Fraudcast. I'm going with it. Alfred just doesn't have the imagination. Alfred doesn't see it the way that I see things.
Fraudulent man here.
The Fraudcast. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll use that for one of my own personal projects.
Yeah, you be a fraud. You be a fraud somewhere else.
I'll be a fraud everywhere I go, dog. I'll be out there just throwing some bad checks everywhere I go, dog.
Amen. So, this week has been an interesting week. Nonetheless, we had yesterday, I believe it was, the Breonna Taylor final verdict in regards to what's going to happen with the police officers, with the shooting, and what happened with that. So they basically let them off the hook. What do you think about how this whole deal came out? And the only true charge was kind of like
it's like reckless endangerment.
Yeah, reckless endangerment by shooting the walls of their neighbor, which could have caused injury or death if it would have hit somebody there. Not the person that they actually killed, which seemed crazy.
Right.
I'm like, this don't make no sense, man.
It doesn't make any sense, and I've had conversations with people about it. People that stand on both sides of. I don't even want to call it as part of the argument because it's funny. Everything that has happened or is happening is just taking on unnecessarily a political significance or partisan significance, right? So it's like we just can't really get on the same page fundamentally that shooting someone dead or regardless just shooting at somebody or being rough with somebody to the point where it's just like considered brutality by obviously officials, how this is not just a universal thing. Okay, that was kind of creepy. That was my Spotify just
you were elevating me for a second there. I was like, yo.
Opportune moment for a fucking little piano song to come on. But yeah, dude, it's taken on a fucking political meaning, dude. And it shouldn't. Like I had it and I can tell it is because I can see that people and it's not making, my political affiliations or anything like that, right because of my stance on this. No, man, I just feel like, it doesn't always have to be, okay, well, this person was asking for it. Oh, well, shit, if, you weren't doing anything wrong, you wouldn't have been shot at. And everyone was like trying to blame the boyfriend. Now, as far as I'm concerned, leftist Democrat or somewhere in the middle for both parties. Let me tell you something. If, let's say, as far as I have understood the facts of the case and what happened, they had a no-knock warrant, so it was a legal warrant. And it wasn't one of those that they had to knock and let you know that they were there. They basically could bust your door down. So this is the kicker. This is what the biggest detail here for me is. First of all, they weren't even looking for anybody that was in that house. They were looking for somebody that may have lived there in the past, right? So when they execute the no-knock warrant, well, the people that you are about to bust in on, or that you just busted in on, are not expecting you to be there for any reason. Now, somebody may try to invalidate the fact, the person or Breonna Taylor's boyfriend by saying that the guy was like no good, or he was a drug dealer, or what have you. That's bullshit, first of all. The fact is that whether or not he was whatever it is that they're accusing him of, he was not the subject of the warrant. So I'm just basically going off of my logic. I'm usually pretty fucking mellow, pretty even keel, very diplomatic. I always look for the non-violent, non-problematic solution to these things, right? Let's just go our separate ways.
You're very reasonable on that part.
I try to be, right? But if I'm at home and somebody barges in, I don't care if you're yelling, you're the cops. Guess what? 3 cops barge in, the ones that were there, and you think, I mean, we've seen videos, right, of cops giving orders to people to get down. The other day, I saw a guy that was kneeling down, about to get arrested. They tell him to stand up. They still sick the fucking canine on him. The guy is in agony, getting bit by a fucking dog, and then they're telling him to get back down. So obviously, all these things don't add up. These cops are barging in. They're probably barking orders from the other side of the door or whatever. So, how could you trust that that's actually a cop if you weren't even like doing anything that could put you in a position where you may have cops busting on your door? All these things don't add up. So guess what? I'm gonna probably defend my house. I'm gonna defend myself, and I'm gonna defend the people that are in there. My loved ones. That's what I'm gonna do. If I'm not doing anything, or if I'm not expecting there to be a warrant after me, and sure, sometimes warrants come to a surprise to criminals because they might be doing investigations. We already know that their investigation was faulty in order to get that warrant because they had the wrong people. They may have had the right apartment building and apartment number, but they clearly didn't get their intel straight so that they knew that the guy hadn't moved out, wasn't living there. So of course that guy's gonna shoot because he's defending his fucking property. In fact, because he shot, they had charged him with obviously, like attempted murder. I don't know what the charge was, but obviously they were trying to book him on something. Guess what? Those charges were dropped. Why? Because he was legally within his right to stand his ground and protect his fucking property. Now, they shoot back. They shoot basically indiscriminately, and they wind up killing Breonna Taylor. And we know that it was done incorrectly because one of the cops, again, was then charged with recklessly firing the gun. I don't know the exact charges, but all I know is
abandonment in regards to
the overall sentiment behind whatever the verdict was, or whatever the charges were that were brought against, were wrong. Okay? An innocent person died. An innocent person died because somebody acted justifiably by protecting their house, and then these overzealous cops shot back. Okay, let's be clear. You don't have to be Republican or not. You don't have to always be. You cannot just let the fucking back to blue shroud your eyes, dude. There are dudes that are literally not qualified emotionally to take this stuff, dude, or you know what I'm saying. And so it always, here's the thing. Had this been one circumstance, it'd be a damn shame. You can chalk it up to, okay, someone human, but this is happening all the time.
On a daily basis.
It happens all the time, and in different ways, but what always tends to happen is that a black person somewhere, or a Hispanic person that might be even browner than me, is getting the really fucking short end of the stick, is getting fucking straight up shafted. And then the cops that are behind some of these egregious ass displays of abuse of power Well, they're not being held to account. So that's why you have people straight up. Well, like, what are they to do, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to like digress too much into like, you know, riots and things like that, but people are straight up tired. You cannot protest on a football field by kneeling. You can't lock arms without getting booed in front of that game. You know, like when the first game of the season, the Chiefs and I forgot what other team. You can't do anything because then they're going to criticize you. Even the president will do it. He will criticize the way that you're protesting peacefully. So then when you start getting sick of it and you are frustrated and you are, you know, at that point, what do you have to lose? Because you're probably going to you feel like you're going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
it's like in a no-win situation, no matter which way. If they stand up for what's right, they get frowned upon. Everything they do is like, hey, listen, we want you to go ahead and use your voice to bring light to it, but we don't want to see it. Realistically, we don't want to see you do anything about it.
They don't care, dude. They don't care.
It's like, listen, everything is it comes to how it affects their bottom line in what sports. And in today's society, it's like, if you stand up for it, it's like, oh no, because you think that only Black Lives Matter. No. The thing about it is, it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's the racial injustice. And not only that, the way that the police are, not only, I'm not sure if it's trained or the procedures and this whole way of them using their force. Meaning, I can shoot and use my badge to cover up anything. No matter what happens, I'll be okay because I have a badge and it was for a particular reason.
And Fred,
like, bro, you're here to abide and help institute a certain level of law, but you're also to follow it also. You can't abuse of your power and then hide behind the badge and expect nothing to happen from it. And with this whole thing, I think it was how many months happened since Breonna? Like what?
About like 7 months, I think.
So it makes you think, is like, you had all this time to deliberate, and not only was the whole investigation botched, because if you don't do your proper intel to find out and make sure you get your surveillance, I've seen so many people hire, you know, private investigators and get shit right the first time around. And that's motherfuckers off the street. How are you gonna have a police department with the proper funding not get this right? You know, and put basically their foot up their ass this bad and at a cost of a human life. And it's like, bro, like we say, hasta cuando? How long are we gonna continually revolve around the same damn loophole?
Yep.
Same thing. So it's like,
so think about it, like, dude, it's tricky because we live in a particular part of the country where we are in sort of a bubble. Being in South Florida and being Hispanic, I think that we are. This is an interesting part of it in terms of how this news is interpreted down here, in my opinion. Now, there's some people that are perfectly capable of just taking the news for what it is and empathizing and putting yourself in a position of another type of community that you're not, you know, a part of. But a lot of, like, you know, these, and no offense if you're watching, man, but these fucking Trumpian Republicans, you know, mostly Cuban and other Hispanics, it's like they're incapable of seeing that there might be error on the part of the cops.
They don't want to either it's admitted or they don't have the proper clarity to see where the,
and not just that, brother, but here's the thing,
where the issues are at.
You lived in Atlanta, bro. I have driven up the East Coast through the South plenty of times because my in-laws live in North Carolina, and let me tell you, I have nothing on me. I you know, I'm a perfectly law-abiding citizen, but at the same time, you know, you drive without the same confidence. At least, as far as I'm concerned, look at the way that I look. I mean, not only am I Hispanic, but I get confused with Middle Eastern all the fucking time. So, you know, if I get down somewhere, I usually stick to the fucking highway, bro. I usually stick to whatever's right off of I-95. You want to know why? Because I'm not trying to get in those little tiny streets, bro, or further away from like a main road. Because at the end of the day, dude, I don't have I don't look like these people. and therefore they're gonna look at me weird anyway. I'm gonna stick out, and then somebody might have prejudice against me, or anybody that looks like me. So we are very much guarded from that down here. Whether you live in Miami-Dade County, whether you live in Broward County, and to a degree, and even in West Palm. Once you get out of that Tri-County area, Key West, but I mean, the Keys are kind of like mellow.
Yeah, it's like more like a vacation spot.
Yeah, but like, and then other spots like, Orlando, those are metropolitan areas, and those are a little bit more diverse. But what I'm saying is the general area of the country, forget Florida, just the country in general, when you are Hispanic in those areas, guess what? It's not like Miami where it's basically predominantly Hispanic, right? We are the majority here in this very small bubble. But over there, it's not like it is over here. You are part of the Hispanic community, whatever that may be. You are part of the minority over there, whether or you're Mexican, whether you're not Mexican or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether you are or not.
I got called Mexican plenty of times in Atlanta.
Oh,
like, hey, what part of Mexico? I'm like, I'm part of the Caribbean Mexican. I don't know.
No, dude, no. You have the right to fucking. You should be like, no, dude, listen, I'm actually not Mexican. It's actually a different country. It's actually a fucking different country.
They don't see that. Anybody who's not American or African American to them or Native American, like, they're Mexican.
This is where I find the hypocrisy. This is where I find the
nothing against Mexicans. I love my Mexicans.
No, of course not, dude. No.
But I'm just saying how they perceive us. It's like just one way.
What I'm saying is that they group us into something. And what like the greater point besides the micro instances here is that we're grouped. So if people over here take for granted when they start taking, not that you don't have to, you can be conservative, you can be liberal if you want, but what I'm saying is that you cannot just take for granted the luxuries basically that we are afforded here, and then not extend at least some empathy, knowing that if you are not in this bubble that we call home in South Florida, you would be treated vastly different, and then you might have a better understanding of what these people go through, bro. The reason that they're treated that way is because they are already seen through a certain lens. You understand what I'm saying? They are seen already, so they already have a predetermined, a prejudice, a prejudicial act. So people are going to treat them a certain way because they already have prejudice. They already have something that is setting the tone for how they're going to treat you based off of what they think they know about you.
I so much.
Which they don't know very much.
I so much agree with what you're saying, because me living, like I say, like even, up north, New York, I would say, Philadelphia, Jersey, and even Boston, it's kind of like a mix, so you don't get to see it as much. But it's
generally cities are more
southern states,
and more diverse.
Certain southern states that you really see it and you really feel it. That you just
like if you're in Atlanta, you're cool. If you're in Atlanta, you're cool, because Atlanta is predominantly black, but still it's pretty diverse. It's a big city. It's a big travel hub. But what I'm saying is, dude, bro, I got stories to tell over here, and it's like, dude, other parts of the South. First of all, the South, like, scenic wise, it's actually really ironic because the South is gorgeous. The South is absolutely beautiful. Agriculturally, we know the background behind that. But I'm just saying, like, in general, like, it's naturally it's a pretty place, and then it's so crazy, just the thick ass fucking. And Kentucky's part of the South, is it not? It's pretty much the South.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, not to jump around too much, it's like, dude, it's like I see it all the time because I'm half Cuban, but I'm also half Nicaraguan, and I just see it's like, bro, it's like, how could you not put yourself? Well, also because, I mean, newsflash, Hispanics could be fucking pretty racist too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've heard some asinine shit come out of people's mouths, but it's like, dude, how, like, you are one and the same in terms of the treatment that you can get from other people. My dad and my father's family came here before my mother's family. So by the time that, she came, Miami was a little bit more diverse, but even then, nowhere near what it is now. And there was still a lot of opportunities to encounter discrimination. But when my father got here in 1962, if I'm not mistaken, already you had some Cubans coming in, but it was already starting to get to a point where the people that were living here, Miami was not predominantly Hispanic back then. It was basically white and some black. So but obviously we already know not constituency, but what base was the one doing most of the discrimination. And people like my dad, my dad was a little boy when he came here. My aunt was even younger, but like people like my family were not welcome here because we were seen as people arriving. First of all, like you're already seen, like you're being looked down upon because you were fleeing from something and you are coming somewhere else where you are needing something. You need refuge, which makes you
like if you're coming here now, they're gonna take all of our stuff. Now we're gonna be having to use up our resources because
that you're bringing a different culture. So then they're like, oh, I don't want to mix my culture with yours, or I don't want you, sprinkling that. So it becomes extremely territorial, and my dad telling me about that, dude, or like just little instances. It's not always the fucking Ku Klux Klan burning a cross in front of your fucking lawn, but it could be the way that you're treated when you're trying to get some sort of social service, right, or some sort of welfare that's maybe just temporary, and so the same. But here's the irony. So fortunately, my dad has since passed, but I give him credit because he explained to me the dynamics between Cubans and politics down here, and why it's seen through a certain lens, particularly through the Cuban point of view, not one that he necessarily always agreed with. And it wasn't because he was making a point to kind of disagree with it or agree with it. It's just because he was a pretty independent thinker, and he was a pretty critical thinker when it came to that. So, that's kind of where I get it from. Yeah. But it's crazy to see that the majority of that generation, either the ones that basically grew up to be my father's age, that came extremely young, maybe they came a little bit later, or the previous generation, their parents, my grandmother's generation, basically, a lot of them are actually incredibly old now, like in their 80s, or someone maybe in their 70s, but they're very, very old. But they have a very, very fucked up way of seeing things like this, dude. They like, it's almost as if they have been here, as part of this country and never having sought refuge to begin with. You understand?
Yeah, like if they were the originals, also, like they're like, okay,
they can look down on you like you have no idea, and it's like, wait a minute, we are all children of the same plight over here. We are all fucking, either sons or direct refugees. You know what I'm saying? People that came here with a necessity for safety, asylum from some governments. We're people that came, like, don't you ever hear people speaking about how great their country was before? I don't think
I hear that all the time, and people will say, if it's so great, then why did you leave? It's like,
right. And it's not like, whatever, these people are obviously thinking nostalgically and missing their the home where they grew up, and I give you credit too, because you were born in the Dominican Republic, am I right?
Yeah.
And so obviously you came here because either your mother brought you, or even when you were older, it was for a better life, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't necessarily fleeing an oppressive government.
No. For us, basically, exactly how you said it, we were actually pretty good. We had, my mom had, my family had cars, they had houses, they lived pretty good over there. The thing about it was, my mom wanted a better life and better education, and just a better way of living for our future. And she'd say, you know what, the only way for me to set you guys up for success and put you guys in a better situation is to come to the United States. So we came over in I'm not sure if it was in the 1993, 94, around there. And we migrated over, and that's it. Since then, it's just been, I'm basically American. I became a citizen, and that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like, listen,
no, you're not basically.
Now, and it's like, I could visit, but because I wasn't raised in my hometown where I used to live, it's like I don't have that connection no more. So for me, I'm almost basically American now.
Well, I would say that you are. If you're a citizen here, I mean, you're definitely a citizen. But yeah, so that was, it's always been a very interesting way, and I don't always want to. I mean, I obviously don't agree with it, but I try to it's understand it, because it's pretty fascinating. Where did we become, as far as like some people, unfortunately, it's not just save us from any judgment. But I'm pretty proud that my family has always been pretty critical thinkers and can think on their own. Whether it's politically or whether it's on certain stances or real important cases and things like that. It's like, it's about human empathy, dude. And
just common decency for understanding. You don't have to agree with why I'm here, but at least respect the fact that whatever my situation was and whatever the situation is that I'm here, respect it.
Like,
you don't have to think of me as less of a person because I fled my country, to find a better life, and because I was persecuted because I wasn't particularly attached to a.
It's like if you have children and your children's children have children, right? And generations that you may not even meet at some point start seeing maybe other immigrants or other refugees with a certain, downward look upon them. And it's just like, wait a minute, you may not have ever gone through that.
Yeah.
Because when you were born here, and at that point your family was well rooted here. But as far as, and why it's so important, because yes, sure, they didn't go through it. This is the life that they know. So to a certain degree, you can't fault them for that, but you can fault them for maybe not trying hard enough to know what their background is, so they can kind of relate to people just in general.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what I'm saying, like, or it's really our job, when you have kids or when you have nieces or nephews or people, to really talk to them, bro, and
educate them, fill them in and what that struggle and that whole process of being here before them. Listen, we were immigrants, we came here, or your grandfather, your grandmother came here, we migrated over here, and we are basically immigrants. So we have to treat other immigrants, whether they're coming in now or second generation, as equals. Because we can't say, hey, why are you guys coming over? Hold on. Didn't your grandfather come over? You know what I'm saying?
Bro. Yeah, dude. So whatever, bro. So obviously, that Breonna Taylor verdict was bullshit. I think that you need to set a tone for responsible. We need law enforcement, because if we're gonna have laws, there's no point to have laws if they won't be
nobody's
enforced
gonna enforce them or help keep people.
Now, law, and that just goes to show you, bro, it's such a fundamentally fucked up thing, because it's not just that, follow the laws or blah 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 blah. It's just this whole situation is skewed from the legislation all the way down to the enforcement of the law. It's just like it's tilted and stacked against you. And it's not to just be, that guy, but it's the truth, man. Like, in many cases, people are pretty much fucked up.
They're quick to pull you over and arrest.
Anyway, on
a brighter note,
on a much rough, this would be a little bit of a rough segue, but obviously on a little bit of a lighter note, being from South Florida, we had a lot to kind of be entertained by and pleased with. We've had a awesome performance down here by the Miami Heat, and obviously there's really no way to segue from such a tough topic, and not just a topic, it's a real thing. It's kind of tough to segue, but we have to kind of do that, just to kind of lighten the mood. But yeah, bro, the Heat, bro, that's fucking amazing what they're doing. Some weird shit is happening in the bubble, and people keep saying that. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Did we think that maybe the Heat can go all the way to win it? I think that a lot of people would have thought that they can make a deep run in the playoffs.
I thought we could contend for the Eastern Conference. That's
sure.
I'll be honest with you. Starting it off, I said, you know what? Eastern Conference Finals is where I picture the Heat. Whether it was going to be against Milwaukee or Boston or Toronto, I said we may or may not win that series because we still, are missing one more piece. But I'm happy to see where we're located right now. It's been a success.
I'll tell you what. Like, okay, here's the thing that catches me more by surprise, but also knowing the way that they play, it's not as surprising when you think, geez, wait a minute, these guys have been playing pretty damn good. Not only that, when the season started, I didn't know how good it would be, but I will tell you this, you knew it was going to be good because you had Bam and you trusted Bam.
Yeah.
At some point we thought Goran Dragic was going to get traded. Fortunately, he didn't, but he was coming off the bench.
They got Dallas backed out of that deal.
Yeah, you got a crazy second unit. Kendrick Nunn was obviously playing great at the beginning, and that was the biggest surprise of the early part of the season. Remember, because he lit it up in summer league, and then he was basically starting.
Yeah, and not only that, but we didn't think that he was going to carry that on into the season. Because summer league, you're going against other rookies, sophomores, right. So you're not really expecting him to go against certain vets.
Yeah,
he kept it going, and it's like, wow, I was impressed. It sucks to see how he's crashed against the that rookie wall.
Yeah, but again, like I think his rhythm was completely thrown off. Everybody was off for weeks and weeks and weeks and months because of COVID. But he
also did catch COVID himself.
He caught it, and I think Bam caught it too, or some other people caught it, and it's like, okay, yeah, but maybe other people are going to react differently, and that's pretty much that has been the biggest.
All right, well, we can't hear you right now. Let's see. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Go ahead. You were saying that Bam. You were saying something great. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, okay, so you had all these things at the beginning of the season that were very surprising. Tyler Hero was always showing really good flashes and signs from the get-go. Like, did he show the brilliance that he's showing now? I think towards the middle part of the season, you started really seeing – it's not just, okay, the guy, great stroke. The guy's an excellent shooter. You can't dispute that. But it was mostly the guy was making awesome passes.
And I was surprised with his passing and
he had excellent basketball IQ. He makes and it's not just the flashy passes or things like that, which he has done. He makes the right reads. Even that cut that he did yesterday with less than a minute left that Jimmy Butler found him with that cut, right?
cutting across.
That was a read, dude. So then you had Duncan. Obviously, Duncan's still very much a surprise because Duncan was a developmental guy and he had gone up and down the D League, with the Heat the season before, maybe the season before that. So, things started to materialize and really show a lot of strength. Then you make that trade for Iggy, and then they throw in Jay Crowder. He was basically like the throw-in, and then you also have what's the name of the guy with a weird throw?
Oh, Solomon Hill.
Solomon Hill. And
when Solomon Hill was on the Pacers, I was like, does this guy ever he looks like he just needs a shower and cut his hair.
He needs a hug.
Somebody have posted something extremely hilarious today. They posted a picture when he was actually playing yesterday. It was a point that he was a little confused. And he was in the middle of the court all sweaty, and somebody said, it looked like Solomon Hill just came out of quarantine.
They just let him out.
I just let him out. He didn't know where to go. He was like,
bro. But what I'm saying, bro, it's been cool to watch because here's the thing. Back to when the season first started, in terms of knowing where you could go. It's like, wait a minute. Jimmy Butler was the reason why the Sixers went as deep as they did. He was their leader. He was the one that took them there. We obviously see where they went without him this year.
But don't forget the Timberwolves the year before when they had the draft, if they traded him for him, they made the playoffs after, I'm not sure if it was 4 or 5 years of making the playoffs.
Correct. So it wasn't a matter of will you make the playoffs, it's how deep will you go. And we all were pretty confident just seeing about what he did the season prior, that, okay, you could make a run. Now, obviously, we're one win away, and hopefully we can wrap that up tomorrow from a finals appearance. But it's just the way that they play, bro. It's a thing of beauty.
It's beautiful. It does. And somebody has said, I think it was Mark Jackson. He said, this Miami Heat team reminds me a lot of the Golden State Warriors ball movement and their cutting and their passing. And at first I didn't see it. I'm like, well, we're not, just searching out 3-point shots. But I understood what he was trying to say. That team play, which was just no ISO ball. and we're cutting, we're moving it, and we're looking for the best shot possible. It's just always something going on.
I will tell you
Always
this
action.
to add to that point though. It's a fucking glass of cold ass water when you need it, because here's the thing, with even with beautiful ball movement, right, even with that, because it gets everybody involved. We've seen in the last couple of games, including the one that we lost, and also including yesterday, you have, even with that beautiful ball movement, sometimes those shots don't fall. So then that's when you don't want to rely on hero ball most of the time. And I'm not just like trying to make a pun here with Tyler Hero, but just in general, you don't want to have that dribble ISO type shit, because this team doesn't work that way. But when you get to a point where people aren't doing much, a player needs to step it up, and you gotta feed that hot hand, bro. So whether that was Jimmy Butler the first game against Milwaukee, or whether that is Tyler Butler now, I mean, I married them, or Tyler Hero now. Tyler Butler.
All they are kind of playing like one, so yeah. Hold on.
So it's cool, because it's just like, oh, wait a minute. We're not just, okay, it's great that we're a ball movement team. It's great that we play like a fucking solid unit. But it's even better that in times when you need that scorer, seems like we got one or two. Bam is a talented guy. Bam does everything that you need him to do. Bam, I don't think yet has developed certain skills to also be that third guy that can really create shots. Now,
or his own,
and that's not knocking Bam, because I will say this: Bam is an excellent passer. Excellent passer. Bam just makes also great reads. The pick and roll is excellent with Bam. He's defensively athletic enough to cover anybody. And he's tough as fuck, because yesterday he fucked something up, and I hope he's okay.
And when he got hurt, and it's crazy to say, no, his wrist, but I got hurt a couple years ago with my labral tissue when I made a movement, and it was just a light little pinch. So when I saw him couldn't lift up his arm, that had me a little worried, because I'm like, if he messed up his labral tissue, it is going to be very tough to play. That is very painful. Very painful.
We have rotator cuffs, but it didn't seem like it was the shoulder, because they were playing that replay when I think
Tatum
he got
holding him.
Who was it that he got caught with?
Tatum.
He got caught with Tatum, and it was like a quick thing. So you never know. Maybe he dislocated something. Maybe he tweaked something really bad. But it looked like it would have been like from the elbow down. Now, what the fuck do we know, obviously? But hopefully the guy is good, because as good as those other guys are with scoring, and bro, let me tell you, this guy's been 20 and 10. This guy's been a double-double, every single night. But what I mean is that you're not going to go anywhere if Bam is not anchoring.
I do not trust Kelly, and I do not trust
they just don't play
anybody
defense.
at this moment.
They haven't played Miles Leonard. They have not played Miles.
He is what makes it special. He is the energy, the motor, and that presence that we need. And it's crazy to say, because I knew as soon as we drafted him, I was like, I knew what kind of player he could have been, and I was like, if we do keep Hassan and everything. Because I didn't mind Hassan, but if we would have kept both of them.
I didn't mind him at first, bro, but Hassan.
I know his antics, his mindset. He's very childish.
And you can act however you want. But this guy, yes, while talented, did not know how to play that team defense that makes the Heat great. He was just the guy that was chasing swats. So, I mean, you can easily fool that, and you can easily exploit that. Then you have, he just didn't fit in the team, in what the team, when he left, and when he started getting less playing time, it was addition by subtraction. And let me tell you, I was super excited when Hassan Whiteside started to emerge, bro, because that was right before Chris Bosh went out with blood clots.
Yeah, and started playing a little bit together.
Brother. So it was just like, wait a minute, bro. Like, you got Chris Bosh playing that finesse game. You got a fucking bruiser at the bottom that's gonna, it's gonna get block shots. Chris Bosh obviously played excellent defense. So you had something, but you started seeing that Whiteside was just, signed the contract, started getting that big head.
$80 million. So it's like,
Yeah, dude, and it wasn't money well spent, but it was money that I understand why they spent it, because you're not going to be left out in the cold without a superstar, or whatever. And credit to the Heat for being able to get rid of that contract.
I was surprised. I didn't think we could have done it.
Yeah, dude. And although Myers Leonard hasn't been playing a lot in the playoffs, he had a lot of moments of what seemed to be contribution.
If I'm saying this directly, and I'll tell you first. When we get to the finals, we are going to be needing your boy Myers Leonard. Reason why? Let's say we play Lakers.
He's big. But
Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, if they play, which I'm pretty sure they're going to go big. Those are players that are not really going to create for themselves, are not as mobile, so we can easily put a Myers Leonard on them.
I thought that because he matches them for size, and maybe at some point when you need fouls to give. But I will say this, dude.
Because the thing about it is, you'll put Bam on AD.
Yeah, but you put Bam on AD. You can put Dwight Howard isn't much of a threat offensively.
I'm not worried about Dwight Howard being a threat. I'm talking about like
that. But the Heat do a really good job. Look what they did with Giannis. They do a really good job of sealing that paint up. It does concern me because they're a bigger team. They're just a bigger team. But what if you go smaller, like you've been playing, and you obviously have a speed advantage. You have great shooters, the ball movement. I don't know. Obviously, Rondo still can't shoot. Rondo, I will always give him credit because Rondo can definitely run that like a great offense.
Yeah.
And he's a good general when it comes to that floor general. But at the end of the day, they got LeBron. They have LeBron. And we cannot love him while he's here, hate him while he's gone, and not give him credit.
No, I always show him his respect at first.
You got to, dude.
I was upset also like anybody else that anybody leaves you, you'll be like, yo.
Yeah. Look, dude.
What's wrong with me that you're leaving me? Like, yo, what the?
Yeah, whatever. You give the guy his credit, and you have to. He's the best player, second to Jordan, in my opinion.
Amen, brother.
And he's we can get into this conversation another time too.
Now we're gonna have to break it down in another episode.
Hey, dog, it's just culturally and all that shit. You can't match.
Yeah. I feel that.
Not match MVP. But LeBron to me is solid second, and so you got to respect that because even at his age now, in season number 17, you still got to put respect on that guy, bro.
That is crazy. And you know what's crazy? The crazy part is that Kobe played 20 seasons?
I
think Kobe played 20 seasons, but
he came in 96, right?
Yeah.
Did he retire in 2006? 16, sorry?
16.
20 seasons.
So the thing about it, I'm thinking about it now, is like he played 20 seasons, but because of injuries, he was basically limited the last 3 years to not being.
Yeah, he had the Achilles, right?
Yeah, and 2011, 12 he started declining, 13 started declining. So by the time 16 came around, he was already not as impactful when it came to using his athleticism. So he was mainly using his mind, his incredible mind that he had to break down the game, understand his spots. And there was something that somebody had said, which was crazy about Kobe. They're like, Kobe would see where he could take advantage of other teams throughout the game, but he would not expose those things. The first 3 quarters, he would just play, he would know. He'll dissect. Fourth quarter comes around, he would take advantage of every single play that he could run where he knew he had advantages. Whether it's a post turnaround fadeaway, a cut, a dive, a split seam here. Because think about it. They can't adjust. They can't adjust after that. It's during the fourth quarter.
Terms there, bro. You're like, yo, he could do a fucking whirlpool.
Yeah. Wait.
He could have done.
I love basketball to a point
that fly would get you. That fly would get you.
If it wasn't for certain situations in my life where, like anybody, money is always going to be, something that we have to be responsible with paying our bills and our dues. I would have loved to have been a coach because I see the game in a certain way, and I understand that playing basketball, you
Come on.
have to have a certain analysis of how to break teams down, how to get things going, and how to get your players that are good at certain things in the right spots.
Oye,
To be as
déjate de
productive as possible.
escuela, que
Brother,
coach, bro,
I'm
que te
sending
pasa?
that resume to the Heat Summer League. Be like, yo, Eric, I think his name is Eric Glass, the one is at Sky over there at Sioux Falls.
They're gonna send you ass to the North Pole. They're gonna
I'm like, yo, Heat, I got you. I got that mind that y'all need, right?
contract. Yo, Jay, I just got a contract from the Heat. Great, right? Finally, when we can get to the stadium and I go to the arena and I sit down and all I hear is popcorn, get your popcorn here. And I look back and you got your boy Fred just.
I got your hot popcorn, buddy.
No, but I'm the coach of the team of the popcorn players, dog.
Yeah, the popcorn players, boy.
We
And I
run-
manage my own fantasy league.
Wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. So I'm pleased. I mean, what? Now here's a question that I have for you. Do you
Yeah.
think they can close it out next game?
I believe so. They're gonna probably come out with even more aggressiveness. They're gonna try to run.
The Boston's gonna come back very, very desperate. Now,
Listen, the
and
longest
yeah,
the series will
Jason Tatum
go
didn't
probably be a
score in the
streak.
first quarter. I mean, the first half, but Jason Tatum came back with 28 in the second half, dog. That's 14 for like a
Listen.
quarter, basically.
I'll tell you this, and you're gonna be like, maybe I can see it happening. I think Tyler Hero really opened up Eric Spoelstra's eyes when it came to letting him be a facilitator, letting him start to come up and bring the ball up court. Because usually he doesn't really bring up the ball up court and he doesn't initiate offense. It's mainly Goran Dragic.
I mean, he's
Jimmy,
excellent to have as an option, but I don't think I would change the fact that Dragic should be your primary ball handler. Jimmy Butler.
No, when he's on the court, I agree. But I think you should, because you want to save Goran's energy, towards the later portion of the second half. So I would think, listen, give the kid some touches, let him, initiate offense, start getting his rhythm within the rhythm of the offense. You know what I'm saying? And of course, this kid has handles like crazy. And now you're telling me you have Tice at the pick and roll, top of the key, and you have Bam. You really think that Tice is really gonna switch and be able to contain Tyler Hero? And if he tries to step up, that lob is always gonna be.
Dude, he wet one right in front of fucking Marcus Smart, which is probably the best defender that they have on that
Marcus
team.
Smart is like, no sé qué decirte, no sé qué hacer.
Ace right there in the mug. Now, again, these people make adjustments, and I think that Brad Stevens is a good coach. I think he's overrated, and I've never appreciated, not just because he's my coach, but or the coach of the Heat, but I've never appreciated the fact that Brad Stevens was getting a whole lot of love when he first came in, and he did some fun things with the young team. But I see him and Spo in the same light, but at the same time, I see Spo in a greater light because Spo's been around for longer. He's done a lot more chicken salad with chicken shit. All right. We're doing mine.
All right, my dog is just destroying my location where I'm recording. Get out of here.
Why don't you pick her up and so we can all see the little mutt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Come here. Since you want to be in front of the TV so much, in front of the cameras. She got her
look
blonde.
at that.
She look like what's it called? What's it called? Ewoks.
There you go. Hey, do me a
Why'd you
favor. Put
drop
her
your-
little snout on the microphone. Smell it. No, hey, hold on. Don't put it down yet. Put her snout on the microphone to see if she smells it. You can hear a little sniffing.
Come here.
Little sniffing. Come on, little Ewok.
There.
There you go.
I gotta clean it.
You got some doggy on your
So
microphone.
she loves the Heat also. She'll be sitting with me watching the games. And she was actually cheering on Tyler Hero yesterday. It was crazy.
Oh, what?
She was like, wow, he broke Dwayne Wade's rookie record for most points as a Heat player franchise, for a rookie. And second to my boy Magic.
He's bro. This kid's an exciting player.
I'm telling you, bro. Hey, listen, like I was like kind of confused when we drafted him. I was like, I know that we needed, like another ball handler, another point guard, shooting guard, but I didn't think he was gonna be like this. And
Bro,
the swagger,
it's almost like, dude, there's obviously players that can jump higher, dunk harder, they can do all these. Bro, and here's the thing though, it's something here in the mind that when you see him do that veteran ass, that bro, somebody showed a comparison video between him and also Ray Allen in the finals where he had he pumped, had Danny Green literally just fly right by him.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Let himself real quick. Takata, Jay. And
yeah, Jason Tatum flew over. He gave it a nice little adjustment bounce.
Oh, he just bounced that ball one time, just a little dribble just to get back in rhythm and
yeah. Catch it.
Bro, it's stuff like that. The kid has yesterday, it's true what they were saying. Usually to me it sounds like bullshit cliche, but yesterday, like, it looked like the game was just slow for him.
And
it looked like
I
he
enjoyed
just
watching
things happening, and that was pretty cool.
And he actually moves at his own pace.
But you know what? That Jay, that Dragic hit, that Iguodala got him the rebound under the basket and threw it out. That was a big three. That was a huge thing.
I was surprised. I was like,
That was huge.
The whole time I'm like, even if we have a lead, I'm like, there's still like 4 minutes left. And we're not really getting the stops that we need. There was one play, I guess they got like 2 offensive rebounds. And then they ended up scoring at the bottom of the rim. I'm like, I love the zone, but we need to start clamping and closing certain sections of the zone because they're just getting easy buckets at the end of the clock. And that's not helping us because now we have to go ahead and do another bucket to keep the same gap on a constant basis. But nonetheless, the national media giving Celtics, like everybody, all the love. And now that we're up 3-1.
No, that's not what I've heard.
Listen to all the excuses because what I've been doing lately, if I tell you, it's kind of funny. I'm going to all the Celtic podcasts, the CSNBC, the Low podcast, all these podcasts, and listening to what they're saying. A lot of them are saying fire Brad Stevens, but my favorite part, this being a lockout, the whole situation with the bubble and everybody on lockdown because of COVID. I don't know. There's so many intangibles, things that give the edge to the Heat. We're still a young team. I'm like, stop with the excuses, yo. We were missing Gordon Hayward. He came back. Igual que Moro quemamos. Coño.
Oh, yeah. But he had an impact. He had an impact the first game that he came back.
The first game, yeah, because we weren't prepared to adjust for him, especially in the position that we're at. All right, we readjusted our zone. Because
Gordon Hayward makes very good passes. He's a very good passer.
That guy is a big dude.
No. He's very athletic. Even with the injury that he suffered when he first got to Boston, the guy's he's a talented guy. So you got to respect that guy. Now that he's back on there and he's somewhat of a now obviously a cow. What do you call it? A tool
cow?
for them. But no. A cow, yeah, he's a tool cow. The term that I'm pointing.
Yeah,
dude. But anyway, so hopefully the next time that we get to talk to each other up here on the podcast that has no name, then we will hopefully be celebrating a finals appearance.
Yes, sir.
And I will leave it at this. It is my firm belief, or maybe I've said it on the podcast, but I'll say it again. If they get to the finals, and every other series that I've seen, I believe that they could have won, just like they won against Milwaukee, which was the big-time favorite.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
And this team that everybody was saying that Boston was going to be a tough matchup, and granted, it's been a very tough matchup, but at the same time, they have found ways to overcome them, which is awesome. The Lakers, I think, will be their toughest assignment because it's also, even though the fans won't really be involved at the stadium, it's an emotional thing. It's Pat Riley's team. They got spurned by LeBron. That's his former team.
Yeah.
My statement is this, and maybe I'm not the first person to say this, but if they win the finals, that's a championship. That's a championship beating your original team as a coach and or executive in Pat Riley.
Yes.
And that is basically beating the player that you brought to Miami that spurned you 4 years later and caused, a couple of years of some, mucky shit down here in Miami, because you traded a lot of picks. Even though LeBron was a free agent in 2010, you got him in a sign and trade.
Yeah, we had to do that sign and trade with Cleveland.
So you gave away picks. And so with all that being said, you could not create a better narrative for him to be like, I just did all those things. I just got a brand. I just got a championship with a team that they're basically an underdog throughout the whole entire playoffs. Besides, except maybe the Pacers. I know a lot of people picked Miami against Milwaukee. I picked them as well, obviously, not just being a fan.
I knew they were gonna take.
They just played against them really good throughout the regular season, right? But Pat Riley will retire on top. If some people say, no, I think, maybe he'll keep going because he's got such a young team that, he's going to want to go get that Whale and Giannis. But it's like, okay, you go get that Whale and Giannis because obviously he's a whale, but it's also because you want to win a championship. So when you did that with the most improbable run in the whole entire playoffs, you beat the Lakers, you beat LeBron. Like that's like more than one championship in one.
That trifecta is gonna feel sweet, baby.
Yeah, like, hey, LeBron, you got yours in Cleveland, phenomenal. But if we can get one against like that, like that's truly David and Goliath right there. You know what I'm saying? And during the time of the Heat, Big Three era, we were the foes. We were the enemy, public enemy number one. We were basically not the underdog. We were basically the people the team that everybody wanted to knock down. 2006 was very improbable, but you had Shaq and you got a bunch of other people that whatever. This championship would be, I think, as an executive, the greatest accomplishment. For Spo as a coach, that's when Spo should be getting already the respect as top 2 coaches in the league.
I think he should have got Coach of the Year, actually. Because I understand Nick Nurse.
He deserved it on more than one occasion.
Together.
He's deserved it on more than one occasion. He deserved it in 2008 when he took the team with Michael Beasley and fucking a bunch of other scrubs and obviously Dwayne Wade to the playoffs. He deserved it, I think, last year or something like that, where they really outperformed. He's deserved it on multiple occasions, and I don't really, we obviously always have that Miami bias, but so it goes. But with that being said, I think we've been running for about an hour, right, Freddie?
I would say so. Yeah, it's been about a good hour, a breakdown of Breonna Taylor, the injustice, our social construct, the basketball world, of what's going on with our...
But we need to vote, Fred. I hope you voted.
Oh, no, listen. I already voted for my local elected officials, my judges, all of that. So I've already submitted that. I'm just waiting for that early ballot.
Let me just say that you should speak on that, because at the end of the day, yes, the president affects us all. He's the face of the country. He sets in motion a lot of other executive branches that are very important, and they are extremely consequential to the economy and to the environment, most importantly, in my opinion.
Exactly.
You can't have an economy if you don't have an environment. But let me tell you, your local officials affect your daily life
on a daily
basis than you think.
Not just from laws, listen, those little cameras that you have out there right now, those red lights, you can literally, on the ballot, it tells you can vote for it. I've voted take.
That's if it's on the ballot, but you want to get
taxpayer money that basically is not really doing anything for us.
In fact, it's doing a lot against us.
It's giving you a lot of tickets. That's what it's doing.
So, and dude, it's like, and this is the thing. It's like election season, very important, because you get to elect or vote out, in this case, people that do
especially
not
people that have not lived up to what they promised when they were running.
But I'll tell you one thing, even if you believe in us, even if you believe in a candidate and you vote for that candidate and say, you need to hold their feet to the fire when they are in office, because a lot of these guys talk a whole pretty game.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and this for you.
Correct. And then boom,
they get there, they don't do jack shit.
And it's the same old saying. or it's also like, you know, let's make sure that we are electing, you know, the right senators, because it's like, okay, it's great that you know, Barack Obama, you know, if you like Barack Obama, and a lot of people say, yeah, but what did he do? Well, in a lot of cases, he wasn't able to do a whole lot, because then, you know, the Senate went Republican and the Congress as well. So then you have the executive branch going against the legislative branch, and you weren't, the fact that he got, you know, the Affordable Health Care Act, you know, the point is, fucking vote. And what, after you're done voting,
no matter which side you're voting for, vote. Please, guys.
You have to, and keep them accountable, and fucking vote them out. And if you're, let's say you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, and the person that you have basically representing you ain't doing shit, well, you primary them. And when you have primaries, you guys, you vote for the other person,
the elected official for your department.
Get them the fuck out of there, because if they're not doing it just because they're part of your political
submit somebody else from your own party to represent your district. But anyway, we had a great one. Everybody have an amazing one. Y'all take care of yourselves. Until the next episode, we'll have much more for y'all. Much love.
Peace.